Hi everybody, it's the holiday here at La Ceuta. It is 10:17 on the 5th of May. This is a little bit of preparation work for our session on the 18th, for our round 2 on the 18th, which will be a mix of exploring more the real work versus fake work and the masks and the things we talked about last time. And this idea of push and pull and the profiling tool that I've sent to you. So this is a little bit of preparation, and this is important that you listen to this before we do the session on the 18th, because we will, I will not do a detailed briefing of the model on the 18th. We're going to go straight into exploring your profiles and then to practicing some of these little interventions as well, and then getting some feedback and debrief. So I'm just going to walk you through the pack that I've already sent you, just to explain a little bit more in detail. So I'm just going to switch my camera off and go to audio only for now. This practice 5, mastering different interventions. This is one of a series of 9 practices that we use for helping people to develop their coaching practice as leaders and as colleagues. And simply, we are interested in the process of how you use your power. When do you need to control? When do you need to empower? Push and pull. And if I move here straight to the John Heron high-level model in its basic principle, that's the question we're asking. What are the different ways we interact that have an impact on the understanding of others? There are moments where definitely you need to push. Although we might understand coaching historically as being all about pull, the push is really important. So when do you push and when do you pull? Most of you will have received, if you've completed the questionnaire, you will have received your profile from me. And you will start to explore that in your day job. So John Heron, who's an organizational development specialist, a coach, a consultant, but first and foremost a therapist. He was interested in the idea of how we use our energies, and he developed these 6 categories, 3 on the push side and 3 on the pull side. How do you direct and advise? How do you inform and educate? How do you confront challenge? And then how do you, on the pull side, release emotions, enable thinking, and support and courage? And I'm just going to walk through each of these a little bit just to give you a bit more detail. And of course, you will have, as I say, you will have your profile. We can do team feedback later, but the questions I'm asking is, which styles are you most comfortable with? What stops you doing some more than others? Which ones do you need to develop? And which ones do you need to develop in the context of your day job and the context of your team, your business, and the context of your own life at this point, your own development at this point? The real mission is just to develop them more and more often so that you have more available, like a utility or tools belt. The more you can get good at doing all of them, the more you can rely on them. So let's talk push, and let's start with direct and advise. These are the moments where you say, I think the action you should focus on is, I'd like you to speak to Dan before the end of the week. This is how we should do this now. The action we need to take now is, my strong advice is, have you thought of doing X, Y, Z? So this is a voice that is saying, this is what I think we should do now. When do you do that? How do you do that? What energy do you bring? How effective is it? What places do you do it, not do it? Let's move to inform, educate. So this is pushing through illumination, suggesting a model you've used before, telling stories about what other people are doing, giving your sense of what people might think, like the back office won't support that because it increases the risk. Here's what happened to me when, here's what I've tried. Here's more of the information I know. You're putting a light on for people, giving them more information and education, more context, maybe even ideas, stories. And then finally, let's come to confront challenge. Just a word to talk about this language of confronting and challenging. Often in the business world, even now in 2021, people say, I want to confront that, or I want to challenge that. And that can feel like there's going to be a confrontation. There's going to be a row, a battle, a big disagreement. It's going to be tense. But in John Heron's world as a therapist, he saw in therapy confronting and challenging something as being a brilliant skill to release yourself from the thing that is holding you back. So I want you to start to see, when we talk about challenge and confront, that we're talking about the naming of something that is unhelpful, that is keeping you stuck, and that you want to release yourselves from. It might have edge in the tone. So I had rearranged my own diary to suit yours, then you didn't turn up. And I have to say, I felt let down. When you mocked my idea in front of the team, you disempowered me, and this made me feel ashamed and incompetent. You seem to be stuck. I notice this is the third time you've committed to changing this behavior and nothing is happening. Do you see the pattern? All three of these are potentially tricky conversations to have, but the intention is to educate, to illuminate, and to release from repeating these things. When do you do that? How do you confront challenge? Do you do it with the right energy? If so, how? What's the impact? What happens when you get it wrong? And let's move to pull. Release emotions is a little bit the other side of a coin to enable thinking. This, if you think about release emotions and enable thinking as a pair, these two are kind of two sides of a coin. Release emotions is checking what people feel. Enable thinking is checking what people think. I notice that you're rejecting all the potential ideas for action. Let's take a step back. What's really stopping you here? I have the impression there's something else that you're finding hard to say. What do you really feel about this? Not think, feel. You seem to have strong emotions on this. Can you tell me more about what is going on here? What were you feeling when you took that decision, not what you were thinking? How often do you tap into what people were feeling or the behaviors they're exhibiting versus the next one, which is enable thinking? Tell me more about what the thinking was behind that. Describe to me what you've noticed about this. What have you tried before and learned? What have you come up with? What are the consequences? How about we get some ideas on the table, do a brainstorm? So these two, release emotions and enable think, two sides of a coin, really. And then finally, support and encourage. The pulling you do that gives an amplification of somebody doing a great job. Inviting people to notice the strengths of what they did really well. Giving supportive messages like, I'm confident you'll make a big success of it. I believe in you. Or giving people feedback. When you did ABC in yesterday's meeting, I found it extremely helpful to the team. So we find ourselves with 3 pull and 3 push. The inquiry we have at the moment is we start with your base self-assessed profile. We do in time have the option to get some feedback from others as to their perceptions using the same 60 questions. And that can create a multiple profile as you see on the screen here. And as I said in my feedback to those of you that have done your profile and got it back from me, the real mission is to just pay attention to how you behave in the day job. At work and at home, actually. How do you push? How do you pull? And how do you use these 6 categories? What do you notice? There's your self-assessment profile, which is your sense of how much you deploy them. It does not tell you how well you do that and what energy you bring when you do that. It just says, maybe I deploy push more than pull. Maybe I don't use confront, challenge, release emotions as much as I use the others. So it's to be explored, and we're going to explore that a little bit when we're next together. So here's the final slot. This is the 1-pager. This includes now all 60 questions that those of you who have completed the questionnaire. These are the 10 questions that were in each category. They're now ordered next to each other. So if you wanted to get a few hints as to the sorts of things you'd be doing in the different categories, this is it. So I'm going to leave you there. I come back to the profile to finish. We will, in the second half of our session on the 18th, we will get into some real practice at push-pull. You'll do a little bit of discussion around your profiles, and then we'll get into some real practice, and then we'll do a little bit of debrief of using all of these 6 in a coaching round. And for those of you that haven't completed your questionnaire yet, please get it to me before the 18th. It would make your session on the 18th much more fruitful if you have your profile beforehand. So I will I'll pause in a second. I'll switch my camera back on just to say I hope that's helpful and clear enough as a little bit of a start. And I shall pause the recording there.